Simplicity.
You've heard it a million times. Everybody always says, keep it simple, don't overcomplicate things. You gotta make your beats simple if you want them to be catchy and memorable and blah, blah, blah. All this other stuff. Even I myself have made a video or two talking about how important simplicity is. And I won't lie, it is very true. Sometimes keeping it simple is the best way to go. So today we're going to take this little beat that I made, just this super icky, gross, overcomplicated beat, and simplify it down, just making it nice and simple and make it easy for everybody's brains to remember. Alright, so right here, this is the beat that we're working with. As you can see, way too many elements, way too much stuff going on here. We're going to need to simplify this down quite a lot. As you can see, we've got a little guitar solo thing in here. What is that doing in there? We need to get rid of that. There's way more than just like 4 notes in that guitar melody, so obviously we need to scrap it. Also, when you record live instruments, there's going to be some human error. There's going to be things that are not perfect, which is not what we want. And then also we have a drum loop here. Wow, those drums sound pretty good. Sounds like they're recorded live and they're super high quality. I wonder if this drum loop is part of a pack of like 40 plus other high quality live recorded drum sounds that's coming soon. I wonder. But yeah, we're getting rid of it because that's way too complicated. I'm going to replace that with just a simple programmed drum loop. All right, now we have a much better, much simpler pattern here, as you can see. Much better. But hold your horses, we're not done yet. We still have quite a lot of work to do here. As you can see, there's also this like texture kind of thing in here. Adding textures like this will add a lot of depth and uniqueness to your track. So obviously we're getting rid of that. And then I also added this little like sweep kind of ear candy type thing. I don't really know what to call it. It kind of sounds like you just casted a spell in a video game or something. And this really is just another one of those things that adds a lot of depth to your track. So naturally, we're getting rid of that too. So now I think we need to attack the main pattern here. The main pattern that I first added are these little electric piano stabs here. So the first thing you'll notice is that these only play on the off beat, which obviously gives the track a lot more of an interesting rhythm and bounce to it than if I were to just have it hit right on the 1 every time. So naturally we're going to have it hit on the 1 every time. Also, there's just a little bit too much going on with these chords here. What we need to do is just scale these back so that's only the root note. Obviously also the chords changed a couple times within there, which we don't really want. We just want it to have 1 chord throughout the whole song. So we're just going to take all these bottom notes and move them up so they're all at D sharp. I played these chords live originally, so they're all a little bit off time. Just gives it a little bit more humanness, a little bit more variation. So we're just going to hit Alt-Q, which is going to quantize it and put them right on the lines. And then also all the velocities are different too, so we're just going to hold down Alt and then click and drag across all these. Now it's all the same. So based off of that original melody, we had a couple different layers here. We have this piano. And then we also have this little organ sound. Having both of these in here really just overcomplicates everything, so we're just going to get rid of this organ sound entirely. And then with this piano pattern, we're also going to get rid of all this useless mumbo jumbo here, and we're just going to make it the same note as the main pattern. And now one of the last things here is this bass line, way too complicated. So naturally, we're going to get rid of all this unnecessary stuff and just make this the same note as all the other notes in the beat. So now, as you can see in the arrangement, we've got a lot of extra stuff here, so we can just delete all this. And now at this point, I would say we've pretty much simplified this beat to perfection. Hi, so if you haven't realized at this point, this video is satire. If you haven't picked that up by now, you might need, a little software update up here, but that's okay. Although we are just having a few goofs and laughs here, I figured I would actually talk about this a little bit. So obviously, like I said, everybody always talks about the simplicity is key, making your beat simple is important for this reason and that reason and blah, 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 this and that. And whether this is true or not really depends on what you're going for when you're making music, just, what your goals are. Like, for example, if you're making beats with the sole purpose of, like, trying to get people to rap on them, then I would say, yes, try to err on the simpler side rather than the more complicated side. Because when people are looking for beats to rap on, they're looking for something that they can flow on and they can really, like, fit into the pockets or whatever, and really just have space to do their own thing on the track. So as a producer, if you put a bunch of your own crazy stuff in there, they're not going to have much room to do what they need to do on it. But conversely, if you're just making music with the sole purpose of making the music and having fun and just messing around, why would you be worried about making like the most simple beat possible? Just have fun. Just do whatever you want. It really doesn't matter at all. Also, let's say you're in a situation where you're making music for like a beat battle or something like that, and your target audience is like other producers that are going to be judging you. You do not want to have the most simple beat possible, because that's not really going to impress anybody in that target audience. Other producers and musicians are probably the only other people on earth who will appreciate and listen out for that kind of like extra stuff that you put in your tracks. Which also brings up a good point. Your average listener, just your average Joe, does not care at all. You can try to spend 1,000 million hours on getting the perfect automation or tempo slowdown or this or that, and no matter what, 95% of music consumers are not going to care at all. So in that case, it sure does make a lot of sense to just keep your track simple if your target audience is like just everybody out there, just your average person. So clearly there's a lot of variation in different scenarios and what a specific track is going to need at a specific time. However, I will say that knowing how to simplify your beats and make them so they're not as complicated and make them so they're a little bit more easily digestible and memorable for all audiences is a very good skill to have, and it's one that you should practice. But you should also practice making your beats as complicated as possible, just adding a bunch of stuff and a bunch of layers and a bunch of automations and seeing how it sounds and trying to make something that you just think is cool. But at the end of the day, do whatever you want. I don't really care. As long as you're having fun, as long as you're making music, that's really what matters. Simplicity is very important, yes, but it's also very important to know when and how to use simplicity in your tracks. Also, just wanted to say real quick that I think somebody else, possibly Simon Servita, has done a video like this before, memeing and joking about the whole, making your beats simple thing. So yes, I know other people have done videos like this, and I'm not the first one to cover this topic. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure you guys go check out my Instagram, SoundCloud, blah, 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 all that other social media stuff down in the description below. Go check it out if you'd like to do so, and I will see you all next time. There you go.